Dope, dope. How we doing?
We doing good, bro. We living. How are you?
It's all we could do, baby. Keep living. Just keep living.
Keep
I'm
grinding, bro.
exactly. I'm good. I was hoping we could do for an hour today, if possible.
Always. That's what we should always aim for.
Aim for the hour.
Yeah,
And if we're compelled, keep going.
exactly. Exactly.
I
So we'll
like
do
it.
hard out as 707. How does that sound?
That sounds beautiful. Seven of
Perfect.
seven. Also an alcoholic drink. Yeah, bro. How's life?
Life is good. I thought that I wouldn't do another short, but there's this idea that I had that I'm like,
Good.
we gotta go.
Yeah.
So I've been putting that together and I found that like it's fucking challenging putting shorts together or any kind of film. And it's like I think because I was in the rhythm of doing so many at a time, I kind of just got in that. But like, dude, truly to get all the elements together, like as a producer, it's like it's a lot. So, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm enjoying it, you know? So it's like there's this quote that I found too from your boy,
Teddy?
Roosevelt. Teddy,
Another
always.
Roosevelt quote? Wow, you know the key to
Nothing in
my
this
heart.
world is worth having or worth doing unless it means effort, pain, difficulty. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I needed to hear.
Oh yeah. Yeah, maybe you're forgetting how much work the shorts you did were before as well. Maybe
Yeah.
you caught up like, oh, like hindsight's 2020. Oh, they were easy before.
I think it's the same that when you get sick or like an injury after going to the gym and you just can't go back. And then you're like, yeah, like I can lift that like easy. And you just go back to your normal routine. Have you ever done that? I just feel like I can like bench press the same amount every time, regardless of how much time
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sick or
yeah, yeah.
whatever.
Oh, you're saying the muscles are still there.
I'm saying, well, they are still there, but they're dormant, bro. And the thing is, if you
Flex them.
don't like, if you're in the rhythm of like going to the gym or you're in the rhythm of like doing
Make the
shorts all
movie.
the time, it's like seamless. But when you get off the horse, you try to get back
Gotcha.
on, it's
Gotcha.
like,
That's what I thought you were saying in the gym. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad I caught that. Yeah, no, certainly. And what steps are you having to take right now that are kind of arduous?
It's figuring out, you know,
Like, real quick, I gotta put up. My mom's in the background. I hope she's laughing at the point that I just did a vocab word. I just arduous
arduous.
was a word
I
that I
don't think
wrote
I've
down.
heard a human being use that in a sentence.
That's why I used it.
It's impressive.
Duke,
Glad you're
because
showing off today.
I'm trying to show off. I'm so happy that that came up fluidly in conversation.
It's impressive, dude.
Using
You're doing some reading.
kind of work. Yes, I literally have been reading a book for the first time in a while, like an actual narrative, and I'm like constantly writing down words. I'm like, what the heck does this mean? What does that mean? Oh yeah, I usually just listen to audiobooks. My mom said to point out, but yeah, anyway. But they're not. They actually aren't usually narratives as much as like biographies and stuff. I suppose. Anyway,
Yeah.
so back to my question: what is arduous about it?
It's mostly like availability of people and accessibility of equipment and all those things lining into place on like a certain date and time. And that's what producing is. I think ultimately
Wait till you start having to raise money.
bro, yeah, I really, I mean, the directing part of it is the most fun, obviously. I think it's good. Every aspiring director, writer, actor, whatever should like flex those producing muscles and they should learn how to do that because I think it's a really good skill for everyone to have. But it's a lot.
Takes the pressure off your like one job before that as well. Once you see like the whole web
Yeah, dude.
unraveling.
Some
Wait,
people love that though. Some people love it. Like feeling like they're pushing the needle every day.
totally. Yeah, I'm super excited to do some of that as well. That being said, interesting. So in this short film, I recall you're doing with like a different It's different than the other ones, isn't it? Like what's the thing that got you excited about jumping back into
It's
shit?
a location that was the starting point,
Of course.
and it's called the Waiting Room, and it's this lore about this guy who like he OD'd, and it's like basically like the place that the premise is it's anyone who ODs, like that's where they end up. And so he's like in this waiting room, right? It's totally empty, and there's like this empty long hallway, and there's this like silhouette of this creepy nurse that he can't really see her face, like behind glass, and she's like, they're ready for you now. And he's really freaked out, and he just like starts walking down the hallway, and he sees there are a bunch of doors, and there's a door at the very end with a sign that says them on it. And so he avoids that door. He goes into a different door. Yeah, they, them. He goes in another door, and he ends up in the waiting room again. And it's like this constant loop of him trying all the different doors until he decides to like finally go into the room, the they, them room. And when he goes there, it's like a bunch of people who have like, it's like,
Oh, don't ruin it for me.
all right, bro. I'll save that.
I get the setup.
That's the setup.
It's a bit of like a what's it called? House of Mirrors for this one guy in a hospital.
Yeah.
In a sense, in an oversimplification. Let's just cut to the chase here. What do I have to do to get that part?
Pass, bro. I'm sorry.
No!
I'm sorry, dude. You weren't in the demo.
I wasn't in the demo.
Yeah, we were looking for a middle-aged guy.
You know,
but if we were looking for a 20-somethings
50
jock humorous type, you'd be our guy.
All right. Back to the drawing board for me. I just put all my eggs in one Jacob basket. No, that's awesome. Wait, so that is quite interesting. Are you guys getting set to shoot pretty soon then? Are you trying
We're
to?
doing it the 20th. So yeah, it's coming up.
How
About a
long?
week and a half.
How long and where are you gonna shoot it?
We got 4 hours. It's I think the place is called like Alhambra. You ever heard of it?
Yeah, it's a city.
Yeah, it's like a little outside LA.
Aren't they all? Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know. Yeah. And then dope. So you make the schedule and everything?
Yeah, that's the thing. So flexing those muscles.
Yeah, that can't be easy. It's and are you using the same team that you normally do? Like, is this a different? You didn't write it, I presume, right?
I did.
You did. What inspired you to write this then?
It was the location. I was looking for dope locations because I was like, I wasn't even thinking about doing a short, but I just wanted to see what was out there. And I saw this.
Why would it? Yeah, go on.
I saw the waiting room, and I was like, yo, I've never seen something like that before.
Such a creepy looking waiting room.
Yeah, dude. It's like this desolate, like it looks like it's from 1970. There's like this really old radio. It's weird. This glass, it kind of reminds me of like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, kind of.
Interesting.
It's cool.
No, it sounds quite atmospheric. Why didn't you first think like, hey, this could be a feature or something?
Features are, I think a feature could be inspired by a location, but dude, I'm finding now I've been every morning, my routine is like just revising my old scripts, and I'm still on the first one. And it's such a process, dude, to get a feature script to like the place where you want to shoot it. So I'm like, as of now, I'm not really looking for new ideas for features because I'm like, there are 4 already that I have to
back on shorts, baby. We're back on.
There you go, bro.
Yeah, back on the wagon.
Yeah.
As quickly as you cross them off, you're back in.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's been good.
I think that's a good example too of like being an artiste is you're constantly like swearing things off and then jumping into something else.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, now I'm back into that. And
dude, I've sworn shorts off probably like 5 times, and I'm so convinced about it too. I'm like, there's no way I'm going back. Because if you do like 5, 6 in a row, you're just burnt out and you're like, I don't want to ever do that again. But after a couple months pass, you're like, yeah.
It's the same thing with me and heroin. I,
Well, see, you'd be perfect for this role. There you go.
yeah,
Yeah, you got that
I think
experience.
heroin, meaning yes, naturally.
How about you? What have you been up to? You're reading more. Are you still
Yeah,
thinking about this Roosevelt?
I yeah, about that.
You know what's
No,
great about this is that we're just going to be checking in with each other every fucking week.
it actually is. It actually is. I know.
It's good for accountability.
It 100% is, because also like it does enter my mind to do that, and I like the idea of eventually being able to talk about how that's going and stuff too. No, but it is. I do want to say it is sort of for a reason why I haven't like jumped into that yet. Got a new restaurant job officially. I might have mentioned last week or
Oh,
at the
yeah.
Rose.
Yeah.
And so I've been there like a
I
bunch
think
of
it
days
was
in a
in
row.
motion, but I don't think you started.
Right. Yeah, that sounds about right. And so I started training there, and then I had a few food tests in a row, and like I'm officially on the schedule now, which is dope, making good tips
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, that's huge. It's like a good establishment. I mean, like a really kind of trendy, cool restaurant, super tasty, a lot of interesting people going in and out. The kitchen is like beautiful and open right when you walk into the restaurant. And I'm gonna be just wheeling and dealing right there. Just learn a lot, but make money. I found out that I mean, this is more personal life than we need to get into, but my found out I'm having a kid. No.
Yo, congratulations.
Gonna be a pops. No. Found out that the apartment that I'm living in Santa Monica, I get for another year, which is sick, with my 2 roommates. The person I'm subleasing from got a job across the country, so he said I have the apartment.
Dope.
Yeah, that's
Dude, this is all the most important shit. Like, you can't be homeless and like thinking about like making a short or something,
yeah, that stuff was definitely weighing on me quite a hefty amount. The job and an apartment, because those both have the opportunity to be things that like make your life really nice if done
Yeah.
well. And I have like huge standards for myself. I've already done crappy jobs, lived in crappy places, home with my parents.
Damn,
Just-
dude. My
Not-
girlfriend's living with her folks too.
Oof.
And it's been okay.
Yeah.
Definitely dicey when I was living there also for like a few months.
That's ambitious.
Don't
Yeah.
recommend. But yeah, I mean, dude, that's most people in LA. Like, especially when you're starting out, if you're from here, that's what everyone's doing.
For some reason though, I always feel like I'm exempt from like the average experience with all that stuff. Like I feel like, dang, I know so many people, smart people and stuff, that like I gotta have a leg up somewhere. Like someone's gotta give me some piece of advice that like makes it a little smoother for myself. What I mean, Reese Witherspoon's kids got it a little easy. Why doesn't that rub off on me? But it just
If
doesn't.
only your mom was Reese Witherspoon.
It's in the Saw community, she's bigger. Yes, no, that's not true. Reese Witherspoon's done her share of horror films.
Has she
No,
really? I don't think I've seen a Reese Witherspoon horror.
dude, you haven't seen Sweet Home Alabama? That
No.
was got a little
Classic.
scary at parts. Yes, got a little scary, if you know what I
Oh,
mean. Yeah, and then also I have 2 buddies from my last restaurant job that are super into comedy, and they're like, they're like 20 years old, and they have been wanting to start stand up. So we got together and we've been writing, and I'm actually getting my first day back into stand up tomorrow. I'm doing it.
sick. How do you
Yeah.
feel about that? How long is the set? Is it like a 5-minute?
Yeah. You pay 5 minutes, you get 5 minutes. You could also do like $10 for 10 minutes type thing, but it's such a cool setup that this buddy of mine told me about. Like it's by comedians for comedians. You go in, and it's just like for seeing how your material goes. And he did it yesterday, and he said it's just like so supportive and chill and stuff. I have like some general things written down I'm probably gonna try to do it like every week, at least once. But like right now, I have something like I'll premiere it here for you and our imaginary viewers at home.
Um,
So I bring up like, hey guys, so, like this is my first bit doing stand up since the pandemic, and it's been interesting. I'm excited to be back, but the pandemic's been tough, and it's especially caused me to like reflect on, especially for those that have had it the worst of anyone. It hasn't been as bad for me as like people that have had it really bad. For instance, the celebrities. You know, when I saw those pictures in the tabloids of like Ben Affleck hungover with a cigarette at Dunkin' Donuts outside 7 a.m. in the morning, he must have been going through some tough stuff. And I imagine there's probably some pretty somber conversations he's had with his good buddy and Academy Award winning actor Leonardo DiCaprio that went sort of like, DiCaprio calling him up, just being like, hey, Ben, glad I got you on the phone. Wanted to tell you that we have a pickleball tournament slash climate exchange going on at my house this weekend. Are you in? And, Affleck's got to be pretty down on himself. So he replies like, Leo, you freaking climate loving bastard, you. Let me tell you, buddy, I'm in line here at Dunkin' Donuts. I don't even come for the donuts no more. I just come to like feel like I'm back at Boston. I just want my little like, iced latte with oat milk. They don't have oat milk here though. And let me tell you, man, the love life isn't good. I was with Amy Diamas. Then I lost my kid, so I had to cut it all together, become a good father. Now I'm a J Lo. She's talking to freaking Owen Wilson, shooting a movie with him. I'm going crazy, all right? But maybe I can make it this week. Oh yeah, that sounds pretty good. Because we're actually flying in along with a group of models for the tournament. We're flying in Greta Gunberg as well to do a climate thing. And I don't freaking know who that is, Leo, but really excited about it. I'll be there. All right. Sounds good, buddy. Talk to you later. Yeah, that's it. My mom's listening too.
I love it. I love it, dude. That's fire.
Yeah, okay.
It's gonna be dude, that's like the ballsiest thing, going up against that brick wall and like doing that. It's fucking dope. Speaking of the celebrity thing, did you see the Gal Gadot video that she started like early pandemic when she was singing like the John Lennon song to like everyone
what was that again? Imagine all the people.
Yeah. So she rounded together like all her celebrity friends, and they put this video together, like with them in their mansions and stuff, and like singing, like and like people were just like, "This is the most tone deaf thing I've ever seen in my life." Yeah.
But what was really? I mean, I guess you just described it. All these celebrities. It was just funny that like they're saying like. What were they really trying to say in the video? That just like we stand.
They were trying to, I think like the intentions were great. Like she was trying to like make a video that like would like uplift people and make people feel good and stuff.
Yeah, like we're all going through this together. It was definitely that's what people made fun of them for. It's like we're all going through this together, but they're in their like lavish mansions. Yeah,
exactly.
I know. I could say something on that. That's obviously where I'm coming from with that too.
Totally.
Anyway, so excited about that. I mean, I'm freaking exhausted and I have to work tomorrow morning again, 9 to 3, not even 9 to 5. But then I gotta march my butt to stand-up comedy.
Yeah, but that's the most important part of your day. As fucking hard as it is to get there and you're exhausted and you just done the day job, dude, that is the moment. That's why you do the day job. It's to enable that.
It is. And, I'm not that excited about the stand-up yet because I'm not that confident in it yet.
Well, dude, this is your first time going up.
I know. And I've done
nothing to base it on.
No. I've done stand-up a couple times like this.
Okay, but just pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic, yeah. And then I literally didn't have any real bits. Like I had I had general things, but I didn't have really punchlines. Like this kid that I'm doing it with, he has like actual jokes like mapped out, which I'm impressed by. He loves comedy. So
sometimes impressions are better than jokes.
no, it's nice of you to say, one. And then two, like people can get very impressed with impressions. Just the fact that you're even trying them and like committing to them in front of people. But I eventually you just want to be able to do what you haven't done before. And like for me, I've never been that guy who's like a student of comedy 100%, where like I need to make joke. I almost want to like get really good at that, you know. Is what it is.
Bro.
But then, as I'm saying that out loud,
Experience.
I could think it's totally a great experience. Exactly. I can think of so many people on TikTok and stuff that are just like normal freaking people that just happen to naturally be funny, that they're not thinking about jokes. I mean, I guess people do in their everyday tell jokes and stuff without even being aware. Like if you're funny, you're trying to be funny on one way or another, or you're trying to feel funny. I don't know.
A lot of it is just presence too. Like Dave Chappelle talks about how when he was first starting his career, like even from the age of 16, he just had this presence that was like magnetic, and people really, and if you watch Dave Chappelle's stuff, like there's a bunch of controversy now, but like if you look at a bunch of his stuff, it's not like joke after joke after joke. He's such like a good storyteller, and you're just listening to it, and he's up on stage and he's just delivering, and he throws in like a joke every once in a while, but the reason why those jokes land so hard is because he's like this incredible storyteller. Yeah, he has the audience in the palm of his hand.
100%. Same with, you don't know Sebastian Maniscalco?
No.
Yeah, I think I told you about him last time, right? He's in that same vein. He's this Italian guy like from Chicago or something. He's probably I heard someone say he's the biggest comedian in the world. He's easily as big as like Bill Burr, I guess, in a way. Which I don't love Bill Burr necessarily, but they're both big. And anyway, Sebastian Maniscalco tells stories about his life. He has this bit that he talks about his family at home. I'll tell you in the brief, summary of it real quick. He talks about like nowadays, and his whole thing is like nowadays things are so different from how they used to be, for the worse. Back in the day, you'd be growing up and someone would ring the doorbell and you go to answer the door and you like slide up to the door. You were like all excited about who is this person at the door? Right. And then you'd see who it was, and it's like, what the heck are you doing here? You're and they're just like, I was in the neighborhood. And they're like, oh my God, it's such an event when someone came to your doorbell. And your dad would say, well, come on in. We're having, and then to the wife, get out the cake. You have the cake. We're having company. And it's this whole thing about company, how important company was. He's like, it was so much better. They would force the kids to sit at the table with the company, the guy and the girl or whatever that came over, the couple, right. Anyone. And no one was allowed to look at their phones. And if a phone rang, God forbid, on the hook, your dad would point to it and go, see that right there? No one touches that phone. We got company. And for some reason, I feel like everyone that grew up in like at least suburbia can relate to that, because
totally.
It leveled me so much. And then Seinfeld brought up on comedians in cars getting coffee to him. He's like, how did you come up with that company bit? Like that was because you just nailed it. And he goes on and on and on about and he finishes it. I'll tell you the last thing. He concludes it like, nowadays the doorbell rings. It's like, who the fuck would be ringing my doorbell 2 o'clock on a Tuesday? Get down. Everybody get down. Mom, get me my samurai sword from under the couch. It's in a compartment. I'm coming for the fucker. Like this whole thing, like they have like a protocol. And it was just true. Cause the amount of people like in their houses, they get like an Amazon delivery or something.
Yeah, bro.
Who has the audacity to ring my doorbell right now at 2 o'clock? So,
dude, this guy was slamming on my door, like ringing it multiple times, slamming on it again. And I was so pissed. And I like go over to the door, like I fucking rip it open.
Oh, you're like
Amazon delivery guy.
With everyone working for Amazon now, they cast such a wide net. You don't know what you're gonna get.
True.
They need to make sure to vet those people better, probably, even though they're probably all nice. But
regardless. Yeah. So you're doing the comedy thing, man.
Thank you. I think so as I go on longer, I think I'll get more into the storytelling. Right now, like because my dad loves writing, my mom loves writing and stuff too. always talk about, well, just tell stories about like at work and all these people. And I'm like, yeah, but especially when I'm starting out in this 5 minute sort of anecdotal thing, I
Yeah,
kind of want to get better at
five
just like
minutes is rough
to tell
such a
stories.
short amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just think it's kind of lame in that time span to like go into your whole life. Man, I'll figure it out. Just got to do it. So that's what I've been up to. That's what I'm doing. The value mentality as well. Clothing stuff is things are moving. All the little steps that are tough to get to. Um, but it's good. Auditions. I've had more that old
Where
stuff.
are you looking? LA Casting, Actors Access, Acting Frontier, Casting Frontier.
Yeah. How do you know all of them?
I worked for, or I had like an internship at a management company,
Yeah.
and I worked for an agency for 5 months. Worst 5 months of my life, but I did it.
Was it at one of the big agencies? That's
It
why
was
you're.
Innovative Artists.
I
It's
know
like,
them. Yeah.
yeah, it's like number 5 or something. It was 6.
Yeah.
It's definitely not one of the big 3, but interesting experience, very eye opening.
Well, dude, I can't believe we haven't talked about that before. First of all, Innovative Artists is, I would consider them like prestigious. In a way, man, it's funny how you're not supposed to talk bad about these things, but it's like so out in the open. Like, of course, I at this point would be happy to be with like any of these agencies, but like APA, for instance, is not
Right.
as prestigious.
Right. APA is like probably a number 8, 9.
Right. Um, okay. Yeah. And so Innovative, and like I talked to someone, one of Sophia's friends, I think, that worked at like Buckwold. And they're pretty good. They're not like one of the big ones. How is it working at an agency that's like that, like Innovative?
I mean,
You said it was one of the worst times.
they're like not strong and lit. So I think I can say this. But they dude, it was like everything you hear about, like classic agency tropes, like you've seen Entourage
Yeah.
ever. Like
Yeah.
it's just sometimes agencies attract, and this is me being as political about it as I can.
Yeah.
Sometimes agencies attract
Douchebag.
people, yeah, who like they're like they're great in that environment, and it works for them to be agents. But being their assistant isn't fun.
Were you an assistant or were you in the mailroom or what?
I was like a floater. So
Floater.
I'd be an assistant for, I'd like hop desks.
Mhm.
So I got all of them.
Wait, you got to tell me a little bit how that was, because I've had friends that, first of all, it's not easy to get jobs at these agencies sometimes, right? You have to have like a
Right. And,
And
the
then-
way, if anyone's looking for like
Mhm.
how to get a job in Hollywood, like if you want to start an agency or whatever, the way that
Mhm.
I've gotten every single one of my jobs is going through LinkedIn, playing the numbers game, looking up the company that I want to work for, and then hitting up every single person that I can and just messaging them like, hey, like I know this is kind of awkward. We don't know each other, but I would love to like just hop on a quick phone call with you. And then like 1 out of 10 of those people will
Yeah.
get back, and then you might get a job interview, then you might get the job. And that's how I've gotten every single one of these corporate Hollywood jobs.
That's epic. Have any of those jobs turned out to be good for you? Would you say like your day job now is lucrative, right?
Yeah, my day job now is the absolute best situation that I could have all around for if I still need a job apart from like directing. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't want any other day job than what I have right now. So it's good.
What are your literal, what's like your not application, but your requirements? What's your job duties?
To spare you the boring details, because it is that it's a lot of like dubbing stuff. Like, you know how people dub things in different languages? I'm
Yeah.
kind of coordinating all that stuff with like international studios.
Really?
Yeah. So really random, but flexibility is incredible.
Yeah, so you've stated, but what I am curious though, because you don't think of a guy that's like a director and writer and stuff being able to like just get a corporate job, it's in such a specific area as that. Are you literally on the phone or emailing with studios and trying to figure
Yeah,
out, and what is
emailing.
that like?
I mean, it's what I like about it
You have a
is
supervisor over you that
I
does it and
do.
following
Yeah,
orders? Yeah.
yeah. It's a very like hierarchical job. What I like about it is it's so different from like what my ultimate aspirations are in terms of directing,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it's like I've got this part of my life and I've also
Yeah.
got this part of my life. And that's one thing too that I think is interesting. Like a lot of people think once they reach their passion, their true full dream, it's like you have to be careful because there's this expectation that it's always going to be fun all the time. But like whatever is your job is like there's always going to be an element of like this is kind of
A
shit.
blessing and a curse for
Yeah,
every.
totally,
Yeah.
totally. Like,
Yeah.
dude, we'll talk in a decade and I'll be on like some feature and I'll just be like behind the scenes, like I'll be like, oh man, the days are so long, bro. And you're gonna be like, dude, this is what you've wanted your whole life. What are you
Yeah.
talking about? And I'm like, yeah, I know, but still. And you're gonna be like, no, like shut the fuck up. Like you don't know what you're talking about.
You're like, still, I want to get to this point and I got to grind and do this thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the thing that is gonna kind of save me is writing, because when I'm in the studio system, like as a director, it becomes a really political machine because there are so many players involved. But but the one thing that can still like kind of be mine, like creatively, is writing, because that can be whatever I want it to be. And I can just do it in my spare time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I was listening to an interview today where that British actor Ray Fiennes was talking about directors he's worked with and who he'd want to work with again. He's obviously worked with Steven Spielberg, who's a studio director, but he shot Schindler's List in kind of like a guerrilla fashion in a way. It was like a lot of run and gun improv stuff. But then he also worked with Luca Guadagnino, who did a bigger splash, and the Timothy Chalamet movie, the boy and the man or whatever. Call Me by Your Name.
The boy and the man.
Boy and the man gracefully touched each other's hands and went on a romantic journey together. He brings up that Luca Guadagnino kind of intentionally went outside the studio system, and so that he can have more freedom with the stories that he tells and takes risks and stuff. And he kind of equated that to being better than studio films.
Yeah.
But it's funny, I actually think a lot of those movies that are independently made, which by the way, those independent movies still have so much money behind them. In a lot of cases, they just are with the independent branches of studios.
Yeah.
For starters. And then other times they like find huge money behind the scenes and then they just get picked up by a studio at one of the festivals anyway. But basically what I'm trying to say is that I don't think studio movies are necessarily worse. I think all movies are bad all over the place. And just to think that you're going to do an indie movie can be so much better is stupid. And studio films, oftentimes are bad too, but just because they've had 15 different creatives, jumping to the drawing board doesn't mean it's going to be necessarily worse anyway.
Totally. I mean,
So what I was getting at too is, do you
Yeah.
think that you would go? I mean, you're obviously an independent filmmaker right now, but is the goal necessarily to be making feature film blockbuster type things, or do you like? How do you compare yourself to Luca Guadagnino like that?
It's a great question.
Thank you.
James Wan is the ultimate guy that I look up to, right? And
Yeah.
so how he works is he's in the studio system, but he has such an incredible reputation that he's built up because of the quality of his stuff that he can do whatever he wants with all the resources of a studio.
Yeah.
So that's the ultimate for me. And that's prime position. It's so hard to get to that place because you have to have this slate of films that are like widely admired and they're
Right.
really fucking good. But I mean, that's the dream.
And they say that you can probably make like 3 bad flops to where you're kind of like,
Right. I've heard that before too. Yeah.
which honestly, like, I wonder if it's even 3 sometimes. Like Hugh Grant, the actor, talked about today that it's like, oh yeah, I did one, a Pole movie with, called Meeting the Morgans, and next thing you know, the president's film studios aren't calling you anymore, and that sort of thing. And so after that, I had to seriously reconsider things for the next 10 years. And, I bet it is, bro. I bet it's like one thing. Maybe it's quicker for actors than like directors. Same with studio heads too. If you have enough negatives build up, you got to reinvent yourself and go back to writing.
Exactly. And that is what James Wan did too. After his second film flopped,
Okay.
he came up with like Insidious. That was his next movie. And then he did The Conjuring. So it's like this. I feel like the more like, yeah, if you get some of those negatives, you got to kind of slink back into indie land and make something dope. That's not necessarily a negative thing. Like, I think this whole thing ebbs and flows. And sometimes you could even have a great product and people just don't respond to it for whatever reason. Like, once you're done the movie and you just put it out into the world, it's no longer yours. So I feel like there are pros and cons to both. I'm also ready for, and I'm excited for the opportunity of having that first studio shot where it's in that situation, it is the most political because you're a newbie director who hasn't fully proved himself or herself, and you've got all eyes on you. And I think that's the most pressurized situation, but I'm ready for that challenge too. I'm excited for it when it happens.
I want to get more into that too, but I'm curious. So where's a guy like Luca Guadagnino is, I'm sure, approached by studios to make stuff, but he kind of knows that he wants to do things not the traditional way in that regard, and he'll seek out his own people and his way of doing things. He'll go to like HBO or someone that gives you a lot more freedom with how to make stuff, probably, right? But you don't need to do that. I don't know. It'd be interesting to like have, they have those like directors on directors and actors on actors. Like, I'd like to hear someone like that talk with someone that's like your guy and see which way is better.
Totally.
What do you think will be your steps to getting to be a studio filmmaker?
It's putting as many irons into the fire as you can, because every path is different. So the more cylinders you're firing on, it's like basically you're just buying more lottery tickets. So it can be putting out quality shorts. Some might go viral. It's making your own features. But I think it has, because then if you make your own features too, then you're put in this other pot of like, people in the industry see you as someone who can make a full-length project that's actually good. And that's rarer to come by because now anyone can make a short pretty easily. So I think it's just about kind of getting as many of those lotto tickets as you can.
Yeah.
And I think it all just comes back to like just making stuff, because there's this whole like psychology that can fuck you over where it's like, oh man, like I'm not quite there yet, or like I don't even know if I'm good. Like everyone goes through all that, but dwelling in that just slows the process. And like the more you can just stay on top of it and just continue to crank out stuff, I think the better of a shot you have.
You're skill wise, definitely heading in the right direction. It sounds like, I mean, I'm sure on some level you can make a movie now, a studio movie now.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no, but I'm just wondering, like, I wonder for people that have made studio films, like, it'd be interesting for us to talk to someone who like did their first studio film that came off of like coming from a place that like you were at before that, like making a ton of independent films on their own, and not by their own, intent to make independent films, but more just because like no studio at that point will back them because they're unproven on the public
Right.
market. And it would be interesting to speak, like, obviously those people like the Safdie brothers, who made like the most popular independent films there are lately. They're doing their own thing. And how did they get to that level of budget and getting stars into their movies and stuff?
I think a lot, dude, a lot of these answers come to you like the more things that you do. And then I'll stop talking about me because I want to ask you questions too about your strategy for this stuff.
No, this is applicable to me too. Yeah.
But I think you do get these answers by doing. And so I'm going to have a lot more clarity through this year. Like as this year goes along, I'm like my first 2 features are in post. And so we'll start like the festival thing and see if we can start getting attention and all that stuff. And things will just start like naturally kind of falling into place.
Yeah.
And I think you get everything that like all this bullshit that's coming out of my mouth now just is coming from the experience I've had of like doing the shorts and the feature. But like, because I'm still like limited perception on that other side of things, I'll just have more clarity at the end of the year.
Well, what you're saying is great. I mean, you will have more clarity and you're doing it and you're going to do it anyway with or without the clarity because you've taken a choice and you're putting in the work and you appreciate it. It's great. But my point is it is fun to speak to people that already know the answers a little bit too.
And everything, bro. I completely agree. I think we should have people like that on this.
Yeah. I mean, ideally.
And I think the best kinds of people we could get are the ones who've like done the one studio project. Because like, yes, it's great to talk to a veteran in the industry.
Yeah.
But dude, that's one step above where we're at.
Yeah.
So if we can get that person, it's like then it's fresh for them, like where we're at.
They can see where our head's at asking the questions and they know how to address, because it's still fresh in their mind.
I think that'd be fairly easy to do. I'm sure like there are a bunch of one-time studio filmmakers, even actors, whatever, that like don't get a lot of attention. People don't really know who they are, but they have that expertise of like having done that.
Yeah. Let's try to get to them.
Yeah, let's do it, bro. That should be a goal. For you, I want to hear about your strategy in terms of, because it's different from what I'm up to. You're also interested in like the directing stuff too, but I think your natural pivot is more in like comedy space. And there are a bunch of things that you can do. I mean, I want to hear from you if that's even true, but like there's like the sketches and the stand-up and TikTok and even like writing feature. Like, what are you think? Are you just trying to also kind of put as many irons in the fire as you can? Or what are you thinking?
Of course. I love that you said that too, because I think that's the way that you have to do it. And most good actors and creators that I'm hearing, they basically all give the same advice, like young people, which is like, you have to make your own stuff. Hugh Grant said the same thing too. Yeah, I've always been too lazy to do it myself. But if I would tell any young person today, they have to make their own stuff, because that's the only way that you have some sort of control. And
not to interrupt, but I saw Bridget Jones's Diary with my girl for the first time like yesterday.
How relevant. Yeah, it's fantastic, right?
You liked it?
Bro, you hated it?
Hated it, bro. Hated it. So did she.
I love that.
We thought it was terrible.
What? I love that. I love that. Even for one, I mean, my good buddy, my roommate also didn't like it, but I think that's more just because I probably had an on and he's like, what the fuck are you watching? But that is really interesting. All right, I'm fascinated to hear you guys. Do you mind if my computer's low on battery? I think I got enough. Wow, how amateur of me.
We'll get to as long as we can.
Right? Yeah, we'll stretch it out. Tell me quickly what your guys' thoughts.
This is what I love. Anything that I like, you hate, and vice versa. That's like, it's so weird.
Yeah, it is true, but
yeah. So I felt like it was like really disjointed. and like I felt like and I felt like also the what's his face, like the guy in the King's Speech, that dude who came
Colin
around
Firth.
Colin Firth.
Farrell?
He yeah, one of the two. He was like, I felt like they didn't even have like a relationship, and then suddenly he's there and then they're together. It just felt like really forced. And then like I didn't
Wait, let me stop you there. Let me stop you there. You guys watched the whole thing, right?
yeah.
Good for you. I respect that.
I power through, bro. Regardless
Yeah,
of how I
you
feel.
got
Power through.
better than I would have actually. Actually, I do recall kind of feeling a similar way when I first saw it. I was like, Colin Firth, they don't like each other at all. We're supposed to believe that they just fall in love with each other, but when at the end when it happens, I kind of felt like it was saying that it was just that classic thing of like just two kids in the sandbox like being mean to each other because they have a crush
Yeah.
on each other.
I
But
see
anyway,
that. I see
sorry.
that. But
Yeah.
also like the whole fight sequence and like
Uh-huh.
throwing him out of the window. I'm like, I felt like it wasn't justified at all.
That was a bit over the top for sure.
But also maybe that's the style. Like I might just not get the style of it.
That it was like your rom-com, bro. Just like absurd. I mean, still obviously they try to be grounded, but I just thought that was kind of classic. Like the fight scene was classic, bro. Like two like sort of upper crust Brits, sort of letting it loose, even though they're very refined and sort of on best behavior normally. At least.
Well, I loved like Love Actually.
Okay.
Do you like Love Actually or do you hate it?
I did no. I loved it.
Yeah. So like I felt like I think there's a huge difference between those two films. I think Love Actually is like these beautiful silhouettes of moments that are like perfectly intertwined in a way that like the narrative is just so streamlined. This one felt just kind of disjointed.
All right. Well, now that you've said your piece, I'm going to tell you why you're wrong.
wait. Because obviously you watched it more than once.
Oh yeah.
It's great. So tell me.
I put it up there. It's one of my favorite chick flicks. It's like phenomenal. No, I'm completely kidding. This is just my opinion. But I think first of all that this movie, Renee Zellweger plays Bridget Jones.
Yes.
Who is like, I love how it comes in. It's just this like working girl in England. You completely believe Renee Zellweger is this British girl.
That's true. Yeah. She
did
a great job.
I think my mom told me to watch it one time and she said, it's like, oh, it's so fun. It makes you want to like go to England and stuff. And it does. It shows this like, it's the quintessential kind of European cliche in a way, but it was done in a detailed, nuanced way of like, she's in her, late 20s, early 30s, maybe mid 30s. And she's got this group of friends. They all have their own pressures. They all have their own vain human stuff that they're into. The one friend is a pop star. He had like one hit single that went off, and then he keeps, even though he's like all washed up, he keeps thinking people recognize him all over the place. It's just kind of cute in that way, I think, in a way that was kind of still original at that point, at least. And then it shows the workplace like in corporate world in England, and it's charming, it's witty. Hugh Grant plays this kind of like douchebag guy that went to Cambridge, and he like screwed his best friend over, who's Colin Firth, and showing the tight-lipped older people that are Bridget Jones' parents, putting pressure on her, but also you see where they're coming from. They show that they have their troubles too, and the whole time it's so funny. And I like the tone of it. The friends and the people, like Bridget would go to a couple's party because she was forced to go or whatever, and she's single, and they go, so Bridge, how does a girl stay single like you for so long? Tick tock, and that type of thing. And I just
but bro, your impression of that was so much more enjoyable than like the actual scene.
Okay, thank you.
I want to see you do a remake of Bridget Jones.
Well, so dude, I had this idea. What if we did like an improv show? I want to do like an improv show or something where you reenact a movie in 15 minutes, and you do like with like a team, like 4 or 5 people, and you come up with like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4 of a movie like National Treasure or something, and you reenact it. But you do it like off the cuff, like you just and you find out and you do it with like a comic emphasis on
Yeah.
it, the whole thing.
That's dope.
So anyway, those are my reasons for Bridget Jones.
I like the blue suit.
See, I didn't love that.
Of course.
Now that we're open about us disagreeing about stuff, it's because I thought the blue soup was like, dude, they could have still had that she was a bad cook with like a more, I didn't think it was realistic. They wouldn't have been drinking the soup if it was blue.
Agree to disagree.
Yeah, it's fair. It's quite fair. Dude, so what my path going forward?
Yeah.
I think comedy is good for me. I don't consider myself a comedian, but I think it's good to have because if you don't do it, then it's hard to just grow on trees. So I want to, in the same way that I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I figured that I wanted to start as an actor because that's the hardest thing in a sense to like bring up later or whatever. I was like, I should get started with that first. Also, in general, for filmmaking for me and stuff, I think comedy is something that is like you got to practice it theoretically. There's always exceptions, but and also I just really like respond well to it. So I think that's a good area to like really cultivate writing, coming up with material,
Yeah.
and skills, doing it in front of people. It's also a good way to get discovered if you like do well on stand up and TikTok, whatnot, or whatever. And TikTok to me is just kind of like Vines, it's just another medium to prove your material. But ultimately we've talked about this. I kind of want to be someone like you said as well that has the like mobility to make an entire TV channel if I want, like Vice TV or Spike Jones. He created a channel that does insane documentaries, TV shows.
Yes.
And then he'll act in Wolf of Wall Street, or and then he'll direct Her, and then he'll be in Jackass as a skateboarder.
Right.
So I definitely want to have a body of work that people go, okay, we can't pin him down one way or another way. We've tried, but he keeps breaking out of it. And if we hire Duke, he's someone that will have a very intelligent, thoughtful, successful point of view.
I love that, dude. I think that's the move. It's interesting because my strategy is like the polar opposite in that I'm going very much for, so this is the horror filmmaker. You know what I mean?
I suppose so, in a sense. Yeah.
Which I think there are pros to like both. Your stuff, that's really interesting because like you don't have you're not put in a box, but also you've got this signature of yourself on like everything you do.
And that signature is just that it's good. I don't even want to pigeonhole myself into being like, oh, it's like I have a certain type or whatever. I just want to make I just want to make stuff that excites me. Yeah.
Right.
Which I would imagine most people do. Yeah.
That also steer you into a path of like finding truly what you love doing the most. And it could be interesting too, like if you go down that path and then you find like, oh shit, like filming documentaries is actually my favorite thing. And then you just do that.
I plan on it. I plan on always having like a wide array.
I think making a documentary would be so sick. That's something that like, dude, like if there's something that you're stoked about, that's like kind of dangerous too. Like my favorite docs are The Jinx and The Cove. Have you seen those?
I haven't seen The Cove, but Jinx, yeah.
The Jinx, because The Jinx was such a risky one, like this guy had never given an interview before. And the conclusion of that film, of them catching that audio of him in the bathroom confessing, it's like, bro, that's like, I can't even imagine putting something like that together.
Yeah, that was pretty exceptional that the guy confessed on film or like being recorded. Yeah. No, I totally agree. Bro, I'm so tired. I hate to break off, but I think we should.
Bro, this is a good note to end on.
Yes. Nice conclusion.
Absolutely. Keep grinding. What are you up to this week?
Thanks for asking, man. So I got the stand up tomorrow. I got just the Rose and the guy it's just taking so long. The guy officially has everything to take Duke of the Valley to his network.
Hell
We're
yeah.
doing it. We're having it marched in by the head hog. at the
When's that
place.
happening?
He's gonna be called in anytime this week, and when he does that, he's gonna pitch for a show.
Dude, our call next week could be huge.
Yes, yes, indeed.
That's really exciting. You've been waiting for this to line up for a while.
2 years, yeah, basically.
Oof.
This one network, especially, yeah. So
Good luck, bro. I'm
I
pulling for you.
appreciate it, man. I thank you. Yeah, I think I have good feelings about
Yeah.
all this stuff. What about your stuff?
I'm starting to release shorts again because we've been like editing them and like they've been in post for forever. And so we're gonna try like a bi-weekly thing. I think we have like 3 lined up. It'll turn into 4. So we're gonna start getting a little more consistent about that, which I'm excited about. So
It's ones that you already have in your library, right? Like, so
yeah.
Yep. I gotta check some of them out.
Thanks, my dude.
Yeah, I saw one of them. I know. Forgot which one it was, but yeah. Anyway, all right, brother. Great
Good
talk.
talk, bro. I'll see you
know,
next week. Good
sounds
luck.
Thank you.